So one of the things I just said on a episode of the podcast, when I heard the song that you did, in a little bit of a preview of some of the other songs on the album, I noticed one thing that was a difference between this record and a lot of the other records he's done, especially even the last one. And that, and I've noticed this in Warlord because I own all the Warlord albums. You came in, and I think that you have always had this talent for coming up with really, really good vocal melodies on the top of these songs.
Oh,
It's like you kind of take that to a different level than most people would. Now, I also said that I think Jack Starr is like one of the like perfect, or as I call it, he's like one of the gold standard examples of what American power metal would sound like. And I told you this in a message that you are like perfect for that kind of music. And when I heard this, it was, I expected this to be really good. I was shocked that it's up, probably has gone up another level from that.
wow.
I think, and I really say that because I think that you two together, as musicians, I think you just fit so well together. Just much like you fit with like Bill Samos's writing with Warlord. So a lot of the stuff on the last Warlord album, that was one of the things that I noticed about that. And I noticed that with you and Jack Starr as well. But when you sing, your singing voice is really just suited to this kind of American style power metal. And this is my initial reaction. But like I said, I was like, damn, I told you, I'm like, man, I want to like listen to more of this, right? So I think that you two make a really, really great team together. And, those were my initial thoughts, and I figured I'll let you respond from there.
Well, first of all, thank you very, very much for the kind words and the compliment. And I just plugged my phone in because I realized I was down to 10%, so I'm hoping that's charging. But yeah, just to reference what you said, first of all, thank you. And the vocal melodies, I grew up with bands like Foreigner and Survivor, Journey, every bit as much as I grew up with Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, who also had great melodies and hooks and choruses and interesting vocal parts and putting a high octave with a lower octave to create that, like what Halford would do, a lot. And
yeah,
and harmony vocals, and just dropping a harmony in on a line in a verse can make it just sound so much more interesting than just singing it straight through. So I've always been very conscious of that, to try and whether I succeed or fail from one song to the next, my effort that I put forth, my goal rather, is every word that I sing, every word, I try and make it sound interesting.
Correct.
Like if I sing the, do, go, this, that, I at least try and make it sound like a good that, or a good this, or a good, I don't want any kind of filler takes where, you hear a lot of records where certain words in a line haven't been given that attention and certain words have. I try and make sure every word, at least if you were to isolate that word, has a certain element of conviction, character, color, tone, or uniqueness to it, so that when you put it all together, it's even if you didn't like it, at least it's interesting, if you know what I mean. So keeping in mind, I also, hooks, melodies, or, something memorable. And something, when you're doing a session, when you're singing someone else's material, you are obviously limited in a lot of ways to the way they want it sung. At least make it sound like there's a certain amount of conviction or interest on the part of the singer. But Jack was actually very... He said, look, just change a few words if you have to. Because guitar players generally can't write for singers. They put too many words in, a lot of the time. They put way too many words in, and you lose that melody because you need. It's like a guitarist sometimes put too many notes in. If you have a chorus where you have the big balloon chords, the big da 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 da, the singer can go any place. But if you've got you've pretty much got no choice but just to follow that.
Yeah.
So it's the same with words. If there's too many words, you can't structure a melody. So Jack said, hey, modify the words, modify the line, modify the melody if you want. Do something if you feel like you can, if you feel like you can improve it. And in some cases I felt I could. In other cases I thought what Jack had done was ideal.
Right.
So that's where the collaboration came from, I think. He wrote the lyrics and he wrote the music, but he left that door open for me to change the cadence, the melody, the phrasing, et cetera, et cetera. So I was grateful for that, because it can be a bit of a drag when you get Melody Mike who goes, don't change my, I've had some sessions where it's like, don't change my melody, don't change the cadence, don't change the phrasing. And well, then you should just sing it, because I'm my own singer and I'm unique, because every singer is unique unto themselves. It doesn't matter whether it's a death metal band or whatever.
Yeah.
Every vocalist is unique. And just to totally do a carbon copy of someone else's performance, it's really, I find that some people are very good at that, and it's a real gift, but I find it really hard. I need to have that freedom to, put my own thing into it. And Jack allowed me to do that, and for that I was very grateful.
Yeah, I think you just have a vision for that. I mean, it's I guess if you're not a musician, it's hard to explain it, but you just have a vision of almost like, and you're a big music fan, like I am. And the way I've always approached that is, what would I want to hear if someone, if I were somebody listening to this record, right? But you have a very good vision as to where, you talked about each word having its own conviction. You're very good about placing that word and that melody and that note right where it needs to be. And I think like I said, the combination of you and Jack with this music, I think is outstanding. And I was a little bit blown away by that, actually.
Oh, wow.
Because his songwriting, which I've always liked, and I think you, in placing your vocal melodies where they are, I just think it just works. I think the album's going to probably be received better than you probably think it will. Let's put it that way.
Well, I mean, that yeah, and you never know, because sometimes you do what you think's an amazing record, and people go, yeah, that's nice, that's cool, yeah, that's all right. And then other times you do a record that you just think, whoa, well, we got to the end of that one, okay, and then people love it.
Yeah.
Again, it comes from sort of different places as well. I mean, soul music is very vocal. I mean, that's very vocal orientated, with certain lines and words become, an intrinsic part of the rhythm and the feel of everything. And theater, if you go to see a theater production,
right,
it's very important in that sense as well. And I like to listen to different singers and different types of music. So there's probably all sorts of stuff kind of floating around up here, and it comes out here. Sure. And that, and some of it may be instinctive, some of it may just be a homogenization of, all kinds of different things, that I've picked up over the years. I tend to say usually we owe it all to Lou Gramm. And if you spoke to him, he'd probably say he owes it all to Sam Cooke or Paul Rodgers or whoever his influences are. So,
sure,
it's, we're all kind of this amalgamation of, things we've picked up over the years. But that's the things I look out for, is just to make things sound interesting. It doesn't have to be completely, totally original. At least it has to be interesting.
Yeah. Hey everybody, Tony here from the Metal Command podcast. Again, I appreciate your support. Since 1998, I have hosted this show in one form or another, starting off in radio and now in the podcast format. Again, thanks for watching, and if you like what you see and hear on this show, by all means, please hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell to be notified anytime I do post a video, and if you see this program on any other form of social media, please give me a follow there. Again, I always appreciate your support.